Discover the heartwarming moment a CEO faced an incredible choice: adopt us after washing dishes. In the heart of a small Midwestern town, Julia stood behind the counter of her late-night diner, the warm glow of fluorescent lights bathing her in a bittersweet shine. At 34, she wore her struggles like a well-worn apron, threads frayed, stains of hardship woven into her very being. She rushed to fry an order of hash browns while her kids, Ethan and Mia, played in the corner booth, laughing and throwing sugar packets, her little spirits grounding her amid chaos. Yet, as bills piled high on the small table near the kitchen, a familiar heaviness settled on her chest. She wondered, was her dream of giving them a better life slipping through her fingers? Just then, the door swung open. From the shadows emerged Ryan, a striking figure at 40, his designer suit clashing against the diner's humble decor. His eyes scanned the room, taking in the simple charm that reminded him of a world he had long left behind. And as he stepped inside, the chatter of patrons faded, replaced by an electric anticipation. Was this the moment her diner would be transformed? With a friendly nod, Ryan approached the counter. Julia, flustered, finished plating her meal, but her eyes flicked toward him with curiosity. He shrugged off his coat and, to her astonishment, rolled up his sleeves. "Mind if I pitch in?" He grinned, a genuine smile lighting up his rugged face. Before she could respond, he was washing dishes, scrubbing pans with surprising enthusiasm. That night, amidst the sounds of clinking cutlery and sizzling grills, their connection flourished in snapshots. As steam billowed from the sink, Julia shared bits of her world, her dreams, her worries, the unchecked bills looming ominously. "Each plate served here is a moment of hope for me and my kids," she confessed, her voice trembling with emotion. It was a raw exchange that bound their fates, filling Ryan with an unfamiliar longing for community, for a life beyond boardrooms and sales quotas, but amidst their budding friendship brewed a storm. As they laughed and turned evenings into memories, shadows from Ryan's corporate life began to encroach upon their dreams. He learned that his company was planning to demolish the diner to make room for a new corporate development. The news pierced through Julia like a cold wind, her heart heavy with disbelief. "You can't do this. This place is more than just a business, it's our home," she implored, standing taller than ever, the fire in her spirit shining bright. Here lay Ryan's dilemma, a choice between loyalty to the glimmering empire that had shaped his life and nurturing the newfound warmth of Julia's world. Memories of Ethan and Mia's laughter echoed in his mind, urging him to reevaluate what success really meant. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Faced with the closing door of her diner and the figurative wall of corporate greed, Julia's fiery plea resonated deep within Ryan's core. As he gazed at the diner, its peeling paint, the remnants of laughter trapped in the walls, he felt a surge of conviction. But a nagging question whispered in his ear: could one act of kindness truly outweigh the ambitions that had defined his life? With Ethan and Mia watching wide-eyed, their fates intertwined with an uncertain dawn, Ryan's heart raced as he stood at a fork in the road. He took a breath, looking to Julia, their world momentarily suspended in fragile hope. What would he choose? The answer loomed like the diner sign flickering in the midnight haze, hinting at the promise of tomorrow but cloaked in uncertainty. Ryan felt the weight of the diner's history pressing on his shoulders. The laughter of the patrons echoed in his ears like a gentle lullaby wrapped up in the scents of coffee, grease, and hope. For the first time, he glimpsed a life beyond contracts and profits. His heart ached for the charm of this place, a dream weaving in the fabric of Julia's life and her children. But still, he struggled with a sense of duty, pulled between loyalty to a corporation and the undeniable connection growing between him and a family he barely knew. As he struggled to articulate his choice, Julia's gaze held his, fierce yet vulnerable. You know what this place means to us, she said softly, the tremor in her voice revealing her fears. For countless families, it's a refuge. It's where we find joy even when everything else feels heavy. Ryan's chest tightened. He could see it in her eyes, the determination to protect what was hers. In that moment, the vision of the high-rise building and plans began to blur, overshadowed by the warmth of the diner and the laughter drifting from Ethan and Mia. I can't just stand by and watch it disappear, Julia, he finally blurted out. Her eyes flickered with hope, and he could see the tiny spark catching fire. There has to be a way to save it. To save your home. But the reality of corporate decisions swirled in his mind like a thunderstorm. He had grown accustomed to the sharp edges of business, where statistics ruled, where emotions were a commodity reserved for the weekend. Yet, here in a tiny diner, the human spirit demanded reconnection. For the first time in a long time, he felt both exhilarated and terrified. As the night wore on, they worked side by side, sharing stories, glancing toward the kids who had turned their new surroundings into a playground. Ethan and Mia, cheerfully unaware of the stakes, giggled at the antics of a jiggling shaker of salt as Ryan pretended to dance with it. Ever thought of running this place together? He asked, the words tumbling from his lips as he wiped his hands on a dish towel, a spontaneous laughter lifting the weight in the air. Julia's astonished look prompted him to add, what if we fight back? Together? Her expression shifted, a beautiful blend of surprise and hope washing over her. You'd want to help? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Absolutely. This is more than just a diner to you. I see it now. Let's show them what this place truly represents, he said, a fire igniting in his own heart as he envisioned the battle ahead. But as the night grew deeper, doubt crept in. What resources did he have? Could anyone from his world truly care? He would need to navigate a maze of bureaucracy. The questions became a cacophony in his mind. Suddenly, the bell above the door jingled again. The diner filled with a young couple, eyes bright, excitement evident as they scanned the menu. A new hope bubbled within Ryan. Maybe, just maybe, this was the community he'd longed to be a part of. A sense of urgency blossomed in the pit of his stomach. They had to act, and soon. As laughter soared and conversation buzzed around them, Ryan stole a glance at Julia, who was now busy at the grill, frying eggs with a natural ease. He rubbed his hands together, feeling a resolve growing. Tomorrow, we gather the community. We create a plan. Before he could finish, the door swung open again, and in walked another familiar face, a regular who saw in them both determination and a flicker of hope. Ryan's heart pounded as he sensed the tide turning, but he realized the battle ahead would be daunting. What if I fail? He whispered to himself, heart racing in the anticipation of the unfolding conflict, but with every billowy laugh and every sizzle from the grill, one thing became clear, he wasn't in this alone. Together, they would forge a path through uncertainty. As the evening came to a close, Ryan looked at Julia, determination etched across both their faces. What choice lay before her now? In this moment of challenge, they both stood on the brink of change. Tomorrow would reveal all, but for now, as the diner's lights dimmed, Ryan wondered, would they have enough strength to stand and fight for what truly mattered? The morning sun peeked through the diner's windows, casting warm rays over the tables, and the familiar smell of fresh coffee permeated the air. Ryan stood behind the counter, the weight of the night's promise hanging heavy in his chest. Today was the day. The moment they would gather everyone, invite their community to share in this vision, and fight to save the diner that was Julia's lifeblood. As Julia bustled around the kitchen, flipping pancakes and stirring grits, her infectious energy filled the space. She glanced at Ryan, her eyes sparkling with determination. Are you ready for this? She asked, wiping her hands on her apron. More than ever, he replied, caught up in her enthusiasm. But inside, a flicker of doubt pulsed. What if the community didn't care? What if they didn't believe they could fight the giant looming over them? Just then, their regulars began to trickle in, filling the diner with familiar faces and laughter. Each one came with a story, a connection to this place that they all cherished. Ryan felt a spark of hope with each new arrival. "Can I get a round of coffee for the table?" he called to Julia. He turned to the first table, a couple in their 60s, holding hands across the table like teenagers. "Good morning. We're planning something big today," he announced, swallowing his nerves. "We want to talk about saving this diner." The couple exchanged glances, eyebrows raised in intrigue. "What are you thinking?" the woman asked, setting her cup down. Ryan cleared his throat, his heart racing. "We want to bring everyone together. Help us show the world what this diner means to our community. We need your support." Before he could continue, another voice chimed in. It was George, a retired veteran who had made this diner his daily refuge. "Count us in, son. This place has given me more than just a meal, it's given me a sense of home." One by one, patrons began to share their own stories, memories of laughter, solace, and connection. Ryan felt his doubts start to melt away like butter on a hot pancake. Each shared memory was a thread, weaving their community tighter, binding them to the diner and to one another. Julia stood at the grill, glancing over with a proud smile. "See? They care, Ryan. This is what you wanted, right?" Her confidence spread like wildfire, igniting Ryan's resolve further. With every cup of coffee poured and every order taken, the spirit of community blossomed. People started buzzing about a meeting planned for later that evening, a chance to come together with ideas. Ryan could feel momentum shifting in their favor. As midday approached, the diner overflowed with locals. They stayed to chat, laughing and debating how best to rally support. Their voices rose, no longer whispers of fear but shouts of hope. But then a sudden thought struck Ryan. The corporation he worked for wouldn't stand idly by. There would be pushback, threats, and intimidation tactics that he had seen before. Could he convince these people that they were stronger together? That this was worth fighting for? Steeling himself against the impending storm, Ryan looked around and realized he'd never felt more alive. Just as he was about to share his ideas on the meeting, the front door burst open, and in walked the town's mayor, a tall woman with a commanding presence. Ryan's heart dropped. This could either be a deal-breaking moment or one of solidarity. Expectations hung in the air like smoke, thick with uncertainty. But he had made it this far, and there was only one thing to do. "Thank you for coming, Mayor," Ryan said, steeling his voice. "We need your help now more than ever." The crowd hushed, all eyes on the mayor as she approached the counter, intrigued yet cautious. "What's this about, Ryan?" she asked, her tone measured but curious. In that moment, all thoughts of corporate influence vanished. All that lingered was hope. Ryan took a deep breath. "We're ready to fight for our diner. For our community. Will you join us?" The silence was palpable. Would they have enough strength to change the course of their future? Ryan's heart raced. And as he searched the faces around him, some hopeful, some anxious, he wondered if today would mark the beginning of a revolution or simply a fading dream. How far would they go to keep the heart of their town beating? And would they stand strong against the forces trying to tear them apart? The mayor's gaze shifted, scanning the crowd that had gathered in the diner. A mosaic of faces reflecting hope, anxiety, and determination stared back at her. The tension in the air was thick enough to slice through, but Ryan could feel the energy pulsing. The community was alive. He leaned on the counter, heart thudding as he awaited her response. "Ryan," she finally said, her tone evolving into a softer one, "this diner matters to many people. I've seen it in the way folks gather here, how they find comfort and joy." But she hesitated, glancing at her aides who stood by the door. "This isn't going to be easy." "What kind of fight are you talking about?" "We're prepared to take a stand," Ryan replied, raising his voice slightly to pierce through the quiet. "We want to organize a community meeting this evening. We'll collect stories, gather signatures, share our hearts with the town and beyond. We can show them what this place means. But we need your backing. Light chatter began to stir again among the patrons. The mayor nodded slowly. A rally for a diner might seem small, but if organized right, it could have a huge impact. You'd not only need the community's support but also a strategy. The corporation you speak of won't back down easily. Julia stepped forward, wiping a bead of sweat from her brow. We're willing to do whatever it takes. We've built something special here. Friends, family, they come here for more than food. They come for each other. The mayor's brow furrowed. Ryan could see she was weighing her options. I can help you get started with a venue for your meeting. It'll take place in the community center, but I can't promise anything more without solid backing. I want to help, but I need to be realistic too. These corporations hold power. Ryan's heart sank just a little. What more do you need from us? We're ready to show the world how much this diner means to each of us. Just give us a chance. The crowd began to murmur in agreement, voices rising like a chorus of support. People nodded, clapping hands on tables. George raised his coffee cup high. This place somehow binds us all, we can't let it slip away without a fight. The mayor's lips twitched into a hint of a smile as she regarded the fierce loyalty in the room. You really believe in this, don't you? You're willing to risk everything to preserve not only a diner but also the fabric of this community? Ryan straightened, feeling the weight of his words pressing against him. Absolutely. We can't lose heart. Not now. A brief silence settled, then the mayor took a decisive breath. All right. I will support you with a proclamation to endorse the meeting and gather attention. But you will need a plan, something actionable. That's where you'll show them you mean business. Hope surged through Ryan, he felt as if the weight of the world was beginning to lift. Just then, a loud crash startled them. From the kitchen, Julia had accidentally dropped a tray of dishes, sending them clattering to the floor. It was a moment of chaos, but it pulled the attention back toward them. Laughter erupted like bubbles rising to the surface, breaking the tension that in that split second, Ryan saw something beautiful, the strength of a community coming together, even in the face of disorder. They were already fighting, in their own imperfect way. Julia knelt to pick up the broken pieces, but instead of growing embarrassed, she chuckled, creating an instant bond with the crowd. I got this. She exclaimed, laughter in her voice. Let's tackle this one step at a time. Everyone joined in, helping her gather the mishaps and brighten the moment. As the sound of laughter filled the diner, Ryan's heart swelled. But as the day wore on, shadows lurked at the edges. The clock was ticking down to their meeting. They had allies in the community, but every moment spent gathering support brought the approaching threat closer. Would they be ready to face the corporation's pushback when it came? With fresh resolve, Ryan scanned the diner once more, knowing this was only the beginning. What strategies would they need? And could love for their diner stand firm against the storm brewing in the background? The sun began to dip low in the sky, casting a warm glow through the diner's window. Ryan looked around the room, familiar faces filled every booth and counter space. They were more than patrons today, they were comrades in a shared mission. Each one represented a story, a memory tied to this place. He could see determination etched into the lines of their faces, and while uncertainty weighed on everyone, the love for the diner glimmered brightly. Okay, everyone, Ryan raised his voice once more, steering the conversation back to purpose. We need to decide how we're going to gather our stories. What will resonate with people? What do you think? Murmurs filled the air again, this time more intentional. Sarah, a woman in her 60s who had known the diner since it opened, leaned forward, her wise eyes sparkling. We should share our memories. Maybe even create a video. Show them how this diner has really kept us together. That's brilliant. Julia exclaimed, clapping her hands together. We can set up a recording station. Invite everyone to come in and share why this place is so special. Their stories could be the heart of our campaign. Nods followed her suggestion, the energy in the room swelling like a rising tide. As they bounced ideas around, Ryan tried to jot down everything, his thoughts racing. They needed to be organized, but also personal. It had to feel like a rallying cry, not just a petition. Suddenly, there was a moment of stillness when the door swung open. The scent of the diner wafted towards the newcomer, a tall man in a tailored suit, face smooth but stern. It was Mr. Baxter, the CEO of the corporation, eyeing their beloved diner. The energy shifted instantly. Conversations halted, and the jovial mood dimmed, replaced by stunned whispers. "What are you doing here?" Ryan muttered under his breath. Julia's eyes widened, and she subtly stepped closer to him, as if ready to shield him from whatever came next. Amar. Baxter moved through the crowd with a confidence, his gaze sweeping over the patrons as if sizing them up. "I came to see for myself what the fuss is about," he said, his voice steady but lacking warmth. "Quite the turnout you have here." Ryan felt a knot forming in his stomach. Was this an intimidation tactic? The man had such power, and yet, in that moment, something flickered in his eyes. It might have been uncertainty or even curiosity beneath that confident facade. "Mr. Baxter, we don't want to sell out. We collect memories here, not just profits." Ryan found the courage to speak, his heart racing. "We plan to fight for our place." The CEO studied Ryan with a mix of surprise and intrigue. "Fight for a diner?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. The crowd held its breath, waiting for his next words. "It's about more than just food, sir. It's about community," Julia added, stepping forward. "If it weren't for this diner, so many of us would feel isolated. It holds our stories like a cherished album." "Interesting," he replied, tilting his head. "I've never seen a group so passionate about a business. Maybe we could arrange a meeting, come to an understanding." The room exploded into whispers. Hope and disbelief mingled in the air. Could they trust him? Ryan felt the gravity of the moment. This was a chance, yet it felt so precarious. As Mr. Baxter turned to leave, Ryan called out, "What would it take for us to keep it? For you to care about more than just profits?" Baxter paused, eyes narrowing slightly. "You might be surprised what you can achieve when you open up. Maybe I'd even wash a dish to see it myself." With that curious statement hanging in the air, he stepped out, leaving a cloud of uncertainty behind him. The chatter erupted again, but it felt different this time. A mix of hope and skepticism thrummed through the diner. The stakes were higher than they'd anticipated. Ryan exchanged glances with Julia, their expressions filled with questions. Was it possible that their fight for the diner might lead to something bigger? Would they dare to connect with the very person threatening their home? The air was electric, tension mingled with anticipation. Would their next move bring them closer to solidarity or further into doubt? As they absorbed the moment, the community's bond felt stronger than ever. But would it be enough to hold off the storm brewing on the horizon? That night, the diner buzzed with a mix of cautious excitement and deep contemplation. Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that their entire future hinged on their next steps. As he left the diner, he glanced back at the glowing neon sign that read, "Open 24 hours." It felt like a beacon of hope, an emblem of all the stories woven into the fabric of the diner. The next morning, the scent of fresh coffee mixed with sizzling bacon filled the air as the familiar faces gathered for breakfast. It was Sunday, traditionally a day of comfort, and they needed it now more than ever. Sitting at their usual table, Ryan felt Julia's hand on his shoulder. "You okay?" she asked softly. Ryan sighed. "I don't know. Are we really ready for a meeting with Mr. Baxter? What if he sees us as just a nuisance? Or a passionate community? We have to show him that what we have here is worth more than money," Julia replied, her eyes firm with determination. Others gathered around their table, fragments of conversations merging into one. Comments about what to wear, what to say, and, strangely, what dish Mr. Baxter should wash lingered in the air. Laughter broke through the tension, creating a warmth that enveloped them. It was clear they needed to be united, but he also sensed a wave of doubt. bubbling beneath the surface. As the clock ticked closer to their meeting time, Sarah proposed a plan. "Let us share our stories first. Show him the heart of what this diner really means." Everyone nodded in agreement. They began to brainstorm who would speak and what tales would best illustrate their bond. Together, they built an outline of heartfelt moments, laughter, and love, a tapestry of memories that defined the diner. The group felt invigorated, but beneath the surface, Ryan's stomach churned. He knew words could heal, but what if Baxter didn't get it? When noon hit, they gathered in the back corner of the diner, the makeshift recording station built from spare tables and used chairs. The group was ready, their hearts pounding with purpose. Eyes strayed towards the entrance, waiting for Mr. Baxter's arrival. Would he really show up? Minutes felt like hours, and just when doubts began to creep in, the heavy door swung open again. Mr. Baxter entered, this time looking less like an imposing figure and more like a curious guest. He paused, taking in the dimly lit room, the laughter, the camaraderie filling every crack in the diner. "Thanks for coming," Ryan said, his voice breaking slightly with the weight of expectation. "We wanted to show you what this diner really means to us." As stories were shared, the air thickened with emotion. They recounted moments of joy, wedding proposals, first-time visits with family, late-night heart-to-hearts over coffee, and the times the diner simply stood as a refuge. Baxter watched closely, each story softening the rigid lines of his face. "This is incredible," he murmured, almost to himself. The crowd hung on to his words, waiting for a reaction. But before he could respond, the door swung open again. In walked a couple, a baby cradled in their arms, eyes wide with wonder. They ambled over, a mix of excitement and nervousness blended into the atmosphere. "Is this the famous diner?" the mother asked, her voice bright with enthusiasm. Feeling the energy in the room shift, Ryan couldn't help but smile. It was a perfect moment, the essence of what made this diner so special. Their love radiated from each face in the room. It was a reminder that this wasn't only about stealing a moment from a corporate giant. With Baxter standing there, suddenly all eyes shifted to him. Would he embrace this unexpected scene, or would it be another nail in the diner's coffin? Ryan's heart raced in anticipation. The stakes were higher than ever. Would Baxter reveal his true intentions, or was this the turning point they desperately needed? As the weight of the moment pressed down, Ryan could feel a choice hung in the air, one that could change everything. What would Mr. Baxter decide when the call for family echoed loudest? Mr. Baxter stood frozen for a moment, a mixture of surprise and curiosity etched on his face. The couple with the baby had just stumbled into a narrative he hadn't expected. Watching them, Ryan could almost see the gears turning in Baxter's mind. The warmth of the diner was palpable, enveloping him like a hug. The giggles of the baby broke the tension in the air. Baxter smiled, an almost reluctant expression of genuine joy. "Yes, it seems to be," he replied, his voice softening as he stepped closer to the family. "Welcome to the heart of our little community." Ryan felt a swell of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this was a sign Baxter wasn't just some distant investor. Perhaps he was a man who could grasp the love that filled this place. As the couple began to chat with others, Baxter glanced around. The old diner, with its mismatched furniture and flickering lights, came alive with laughter and shared stories. The atmosphere swirled with the sense of pancakes and strong coffee, mixed with a sense of belonging that could almost be tasted. Suddenly, Baxter took a seat at their table. "So, tell me," he started, leaning forward. "What do you consider most important about this diner?" One by one, they spoke up. Julia began, her voice steady. "It's home. When you walk through those doors, you feel like part of a family." She paused, her eyes reflecting the heart of her words. "We've all been through so much together. It's more than just a diner, it's a sanctuary." Ryan chimed in, feeling energized by her honesty. "I used to come here when I felt lost. Now it's where I've found myself. We want to keep that feeling alive." Baxter listened closely, nodding as they shared their stories. The pressure that had initially weighed on Ryan still lingered, but amidst the unfolding stories, his hope started to flourish that it wasn't just what they said, it was who they were. The laughter, the camaraderie, the shared glances of understanding. Baxter's expression shifted, hinting at an openness he had not shown before. It deepened when Sarah spoke of connecting with strangers who became friends. Then, just as the mood grew lighter, the diner's phone rang, an unexpected interruption. Ryan felt the moment shift. When Julia answered, her voice was steady but confusion creased her brow. "Yes, this is Julia." "What? Oh, I see." She hung up and turned to the table, her face pale. "Mr. Baxter, we just got an emergency call from management," she said, her fingers trembling slightly. "They're planning a demolition. They want to tear down the diner. They think it's going to make way for a new parking lot." Gasps resonated around the table, and the atmosphere turned heavy again. Faces fell, hope flickered. Baxter's expression darkened too, and Ryan knew that the decision hung over them like a storm cloud. "Not on my watch," Baxter said resolutely, surprising himself. "How can we fight this?" Ryan's heartbeat quickened. This was the moment of truth. Did Baxter truly want to champion their cause? Or was it just words? Suddenly, the tension broke. A little voice cut through the uncertainty. It was the baby, reaching out to Baxter, as if sensing the unease. The CEO blinked, then smiled and reached out, cradling the baby gently. "Now this is a sign we can all get behind." His eyes sparkled with an unexpected amusement. "What do you think, little one? Should I roll up my sleeves and wash dishes to save this place?" Laughter erupted in the diner, tension breaking like a wave. Yet amid the joy, uncertainty lingered. Ryan felt a tug in his chest. Would Baxter truly step up and fight for them? As smiles spread, Ryan stole a glance at Baxter, whose expression was now a mix of contemplation and sincerity. The stakes were impossibly high. Was this the beginning of a new chapter for the diner, or just a fleeting moment of joy before the storm? The clock ticked loudly, echoing the uncertainty that surrounded them. Would they truly find a way to save the place they loved, or were they on the brink of losing everything? The answer felt just beyond their reach, fading like smoke in the warm air of the diner. Baxter slowly set the baby down, much to the cooing delight of the parents. The laughter that echoed around the diner was warm, but a shadow loomed in the back of Ryan's mind. Was this new bond just a momentary escape from reality? He wanted to believe Baxter truly cared, but words could only go so far. "Mr. Baxter," Julia began, her earnest gaze steady on him, "if you mean what you just said about fighting for us, we need a plan. We can't stand by and let this happen." The urgency in her voice felt like a rallying cry. Baxter leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled underneath his chin. "You're right. We need to organize a meeting, gather everyone who cares about this diner and brainstorm ideas. I might be some hotshot executive in the city, but I'm willing to learn," he said with a hint of vulnerability. "Where do we even start?" Sarah asked, clearly anxious, a tension tightening her shoulders. "Fundraising. Awareness. We can't just sit here and mope," Baxter replied, a spark igniting in his eyes. "This place means something. You all have shown me that." The spark in Baxter's voice sent ripples of hope through the group. Ryan leaned in, hunger for action swelling in his chest. "Let us throw an event, a diner night. We can reach out to the community, get everyone involved. Everyone loves a good meal, and they'll love it even more if it supports a cause." Baxter nodded enthusiastically. "That's a great idea. We can turn this into a fundraiser, promote it online, maybe even get the local news involved." Julia's eyes brightened. "We'll handle the details. The recipes, the decor, everything. We can pool our resources." The air buzzed with excitement, the collective heartbeat of hope pulsing through the diner. Ryan felt a rush, adrenaline coursing through him. This was their chance. But something tugged at him, a reminder of their vulnerable position. Will it be enough? Baxter met his gaze. We have to believe it will be. The key here is unity. This diner holds so many stories. Everyone who walks through those doors has a piece of it inside them. With that thought, Ryan felt a swell of determination. They weren't just fighting for a building, they were fighting for every memory, every smile shared over a cup of coffee, every connection built around a booth-s table. Excited chatter filled the diner as plans began to unfurl. They sketched out ideas on napkins and shared hearty laughter. Hours passed, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, the diner glowed in the orange and pink twilight. To Ryan, it felt like something beautiful was surfacing amid the chaos. Baxter remained immersed in the enthusiasm, discussing logistics and even offering to leverage his business contacts. If I can help secure some donations or sponsorships, this should go beyond just one diner night, he said, a newfound fire igniting in his core. But as the conversation flowed, Ryan caught sight of the door. A figure hesitated outside. A man in a suit, stocky and authoritative. The town's property manager. His gut twisted. Something about the man's presence felt ominous. Guys. Ryan said, drawing attention as the diner door opened, the bell chiming a warning. I think we might have company and I don't think it's good. The laughter faded, replaced by taut silence. Baxter's expression shifted from excitement to uncertainty as he glanced at the man now entering. Evening, folks, the man said, his tone cool and indifferent. I need to have a chat about your little fundraiser. Unease settled among them, tightening like a noose. What did he want? What could he possibly have to say that would impact their fight? As the man approached, leaving an unsettling energy in his wake, Ryan's heart raced. Was this the moment of truth they had been waiting for, or the beginning of another uphill battle? All eyes were on the newcomer, and Ryan could feel the weight of their hopes hanging in the balance, teetering on the edge of uncertainty. What did this mean for their future? Would their plans slip through their fingers just as suddenly as hope had risen? The man in the suit stood before them like a cloud casting a shadow over the bright energy that had filled the diner. His eyes surveyed the group, hard and calculating, and Ryan felt a chill running down his spine. It was as if the warmth of the diner got sucked out the moment he walked in. Mr. Baxter, the property manager began, leaning slightly forward. I hear you're planning quite the event. His voice was smooth but edged with disapproval, as if judging the worth of their cause before they even got to the heart of it. Baxter straightened, his earlier enthusiasm fading. Yes, we are. This diner matters to the community, and we want to protect it. The man laughed, sharp and devoid of humor. Sentiment doesn't pay the bills, my friend. You can throw 1,000,000 fundraisers, but if the paperwork isn't in order, it won't mean a thing. Ryan felt heat rising in his chest. We'll make it work. We're not giving up on this place. Expecting the community to rally around this dilapidated diner isn't enough just because you're attached to the memories, he shot back. If you want to save it from development, you need to show me something with substance. There was a silence, thick with tension. The other diners were now silent observers, some shifting in their booths, others glancing at each other, confusion and fear swirling in their expressions. It felt like the weight of their hopes had just multiplied tenfold. Come on, Julia said, her voice breaking through the tension. We all know how special this place is. It's more than just walls. It's people. There are hearts here. The property manager raised an eyebrow. Hearts don't fill potholes or fix broken equipment. You want my support, you need to convince me. Show me how you plan to make this work. Baxter looked to Ryan and the others, then back to the man. We'll present a solid plan. Fundraising ideas, community engagement. This can be something bigger than just a night. We can organize events. Support local businesses. Local businesses? The man smirked. The same businesses that are planning to cash in when this place is gone. You think they're going to throw money at your cause while smiling behind their backs? His words stung like a cruel truth. Ryan felt the anger bubbling, but he forced it down. They had to stay focused. Then we'll get other people involved, Ryan pushed, a fire igniting somewhere deep within. People who love this diner, who've made memories here. We'll rally everyone. This isn't just a fight for a building, it's for a home. Baxter nodded, catching on to Ryan's determined urgency. What if we can gather testimonials, stories from patrons on how the diner has impacted their lives? That woven together with fundraising efforts could show its value. Good idea, but it's risky. The property manager's gaze pierced through them. Unless you all can present something worthwhile, this diner could very well be yours to watch become a parking lot. The time felt painfully compressed, each heartbeat echoing louder. Ryan could feel the group's anxiety pressing down on him like an anchor, but he wouldn't let it chain them. They had to fight back with everything they had, even against the odds. Okay, Ryan said, his nerves cranking up to full intensity. You want our plan? We'll make it happen. It'll be big, something the community can't ignore. Everyone will see the heart this place holds, will show you. The property manager's face was unreadable. I'll give you a month. Fail to impress me, and you can start packing, he said, turning to leave. As the door swung shut behind him, the air in the diner shifted again. Hope battled against despair. Did we just blow our chance? Sarah whispered, her voice barely above a breath. No, Julia said quickly, determination flaring in her eyes. We just got a deadline, and deadlines can ignite fires. We'll show them what we've got. And just like that, a spark ignited again in Ryan's heart. He knew they had a fight ahead of them, but now it felt like a fireball of potential rather than a dead end. Would they rise to the challenge in time, or would this be another battle lost? Determined to rally the community, Ryan took a deep breath. Let us get to work. But even as hope kindled, a question lingered: could they truly pull it off, or would they be left with nothing but memories? The sun rose slowly over the diner, casting a warm golden light through the windows. Ryan felt his heart thumping in his chest as he stepped through the door, the familiar sound of the bell ringing like a call to action. This was the day they would transform their spark of hope into a roaring fire. Julia was already at the grill, whipping up a breakfast like she always did. The smell of pancakes and bacon wafted through the air, mixing with the scent of freshly brewed coffee that wrapped around him like a comforting hug. As the regulars trickled in, he could feel the energy in the room stirring. All right, everyone. Ryan called, his voice rich with determination. Today is our day. We have a month to gather stories, create a plan, and show the town and that property manager what this diner truly means to us. Murmurs of agreement spread through the crowd, faces blooming with enthusiasm. Sarah chimed in, let us set up a corner for stories, get everyone involved. It'll be like a living testament to everything this diner stands for. Exactly. Julia agreed, her eyes shining. We can host themed nights to bring in the community, like Remember When Wednesdays. It'll be a fun way to share our memories and connect with our patrons. Excitement bubbled as ideas took flight. George suggested bringing in local musicians to play on weekends. We could have live music and good food, what's not to love. Yes, and we can promote it on social media. The more buzz we create, the more support we'll attract. Ryan said, his heart racing. Each suggestion kindled new hope, building momentum they could ride into the future. They split into teams, pulling each other into the fray of planning, enthusiasm threaded tightly into each task. Julia organized note-taking and a storyboarding session, while Ryan focused on logistics. The diner felt euphoric, an engine revving up for a journey they were about to embark upon together. As the days passed, the energy in the diner buzzed like needles stitched into the fibers of a tapestry, each story woven together to create a colorful and vibrant picture. Patrons who had once passed through idly now stepped up, sharing laughter and tales over meals. They flipped through photo albums, recalling birthdays, anniversaries, and simple mornings that turned into cherished moments. Each shared memory was a rallying cry for the fight ahead, finally, the day of the fundraiser arrived. They decorated the diner, stringing lights across the ceiling and arranging tables to make space for those who would come. The aroma of food wafted through the air, invigorating hearts as Ryan watched the place fill up with warmth and chatter, but just as they felt a swell of confidence, the door swung open. The property manager entered, his expression unreadable. Ryan's stomach sank. Would this be the end of everything they worked for? As I promised, I'm here to check on this event, the man declared, walking through the diner, glancing at the decorations and bustling patrons. Let us see if you keep your word. The atmosphere tensed, eyes flicked nervously toward Ryan. He had to stand firm. It was now or never. We've done everything we can to show you what this diner means to us, Ryan said, striding forward courageously. But more importantly, we'll show you what it means to this community. People stepped up to share their testimonies, recounting heartfelt stories, their voices rising with passion. As laughter erupted and stories unfolded, the property manager stood silent, a skeptical eyebrow raised. But slowly, his expression began to soften, interest glimmering in his eyes. Julia took center stage. This diner is about more than just food. It's the heartbeat of this town. She spoke with fire, passionately weaving together the tales of the people who called this place home. Finally, as the evening waned, the crowd erupted into applause. The property manager shifted, looking between Julia and Ryan with a newfound respect. As murmurs of enthusiasm echoed in the diner, he took a deep breath. I must admit, he started, I didn't expect this level of commitment. Let us extend the window for negotiations and see if there's room to explore alternatives. Cheers erupted around the diner. In that moment, Ryan felt the walls of doubt crumbling. There was hope. They could indeed keep their home. As the night wore on, magic lingered in the air despite the obstacles that remained. The smiles, laughter, and heartfelt connections made every dish served worthwhile, every sip of coffee a toast to their determination. Days turned into weeks, and while the battle for the diner wasn't entirely over, Ryan could see the deep-rooted love for their space had sparked a flame they would fight together. As the seasons changed and life went on, the diner continued to be a sanctuary, its lights glowing brightly, filled with voices of joy, resilience, and love. In those walls, Julia found her family, Ryan found his purpose, and the community found their heart. And as for the property manager, he became more than just an opponent. Sometimes, he even joined in on the laughter as if drawn into the magic that radiated from that humble diner, and that, above all, was a victory worth savoring. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire hope like this one. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support for these heartfelt transformations. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear what this story means to you. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation unfold. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand how important it is to support the channel through these actions.